looking for his second PBA title. He'll meet 15-time champion and Triple Crown winner Pete Weber of Florissant, Missouri. That winner will bowl the reigning PBA Player of the Year, Amleto Monacelli of Venezuela. Next up will be the second seed and last week's Florida Open winner, John-Mazza of Mount Clemens, Michigan. Our tournament leader is 17-time PBA champion Wayne Webb of Beaumont, Texas. That's our outstanding field of finalists for today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. The world's greatest bowlers have returned to Southern Florida for the $160,000 Bud Light Classic at the Don Carter All-Star Lanes in Sunrise. Close to Sunrise, the magnificent Florida Everglades. Jesse and I in our airboat are here in one of the many man-made canals. The Everglades covering 7.5 million acres of area. Really what they are, sawgrass and water, fresh water, which empties from Lake Okeechobee 100 miles to the north to the Gulf of Mexico. 50 miles in width. And in this area, it has been home to the Seminole and the Miccosukee Indians who called the Everglades Pe-he-oke, River of Grass. There are a variety of birds here, total of 400. There are 60 amphibian and reptile species. Well, we could go on and on, but more important, as I look down here, this is the home for a lot of alligators. We've seen quite a few here. So, Jesse, I think we better haul out of here and get to Don Carter Lanes. The finals are about to begin, and my colleague Nelson Burton Jr. is there. Bo, take it away.
Thank you, Gator Chris Schenkel. Many people come to South Florida for the beach, the sun, swimming, whatnot. But a trip to the Everglades is an absolute must. It's one of the most magnificent places we have in the United States. And not far from the Everglades lies Don Carter Lanes. We're here for the second annual Bud Light Classic. We have a wonderful field, and there's some terrific action in front of us. Now, we're only moments away from that first match. But last week, one of the most monumental moments happened in the sport of bowling as far as a memory goes. Our winner, John-Mazza, who's in the announce booth with me right now. John, what happened to you last week, and what was going through your mind?
Well, it was just emotional. When I got up in the ninth frame and I threw it good, and it was off my hand, there was no way I could control it. I knew I put everything I had into it, and that was the shot. And when it struck, my life just flashed before my eyes. It was amazing.
Well, it took 9 years to get the first title. Now you have a chance to win the second one today. Now the field is very tough this week. You have Pete Weber in there, Wayne Webb, 17 titles. A very, very tough field. Any different strategy going in against a very strong field?
I just want to bowl as good as I can every shot, and this is fun. I'm loving it.
All right, John, you sound like a winner. Now let's take a look at the championship pair. This week, the players, 4 right-handers, are playing on an oil pattern set down by the PBA, 30 feet down the lane. And it's equal oil, gutter to gutter. No break, no heavy buildup in the center. It's carried down to 45 feet, and then it's dry the last 15 feet. Now, the shot that most of the righties are playing, all power players, is somewhere around the center of the lane, out over the second arrow, maybe out to about the third board, into the 1-3 pocket. The one lefty, John-Mazza, looking for 2 in a row, is playing the big hook ball also, over the second arrow, out to the extreme edge, into the 1-2 pocket. Chris, a lot of good action. There's a lot of good action on Wide World after the bowling.
That's right. The second part of our 1-2 punch on ABC Sports, Wide World of Sports. Today, presenting live coverage of the ladies' competition and a report on pairs competition of the United States Figure Skating Championships, presented by Diet Sprite and NutraSweet from Minneapolis. $160,000 total, 30 the winner, 16 runner-up, 8,000, 65, and 55. And here we go with our very first match, the first of 4 live on the Don Carter All-Star Lanes, and Bob-Benoit, 1 victory, and that was the 300 perfect game at the Forum, Grand Prairie, Texas, a couple of years ago. His only victory. Left lane, first shot. Terrible way to start for Bob-Benoit. Nelson?
Well, Chris, he's left the 2-8-10, and it's what we call almost the pro bowler split. He has to get the ball over to the left-hand side of the lane. There's two schools of thought. I think the best way to make it is get the ball over near the 2-pin, send the 2 over the 10, let the 10 or 2-pin kick back into the 8. A real tough shot, Chris, but he might go for it here right in the first frame.
All right, Bob-Benoit, now bowling out of Topeka, Kansas, a native of Dallas, Texas, and now from Florissant, St. Louis, Missouri. Pete Weber, Triple Crown winner, 1 of 3. Billy Hardwig and Johnny Petraglia. Johnny is in the audience today. Crossover, and Pete will take it. Smile on that face, the blue eyes sparkling with that strike.
Pete, with that 5-step delivery, uses all the approach, the real high backswing, the open hand, generates as much power as he possibly can, the good deep knee bend, tremendous wrist action. Young Peter, one of the best talents ever to grace the Professional Bowlers Tour. 4th all-time leading money winner, going for a double.
$1.2 million. Everything went around the 10-pin on the left lane for Pete Weber. It's hard to believe he is now 28 years old.
Bowled his first 300 game there. He has 18 when he was just 12 years old. Of course, his dad, one of the all-time greats, Dick.
And you can bet his mom, Juanita, watching very carefully. All right, Bob-Benoit had an open frame in the first. In this field, we have a total of 44 titles. Bob has 1. It was in 1988, Grand Prairie. Oh. Incredible.
Good break as you see the profile of Bob-Benoit, 5-step delivery, but watch that wrist cupped. He actually just lays the ball back on his forearm, straight through the shot. The one drawback to Benoit's power is that he doesn't get quite the speed to hold the ball on line. He gets a great break here as he almost what we call a reverse blown 5, RBF. The 5-pin slides over into the 3, and the head pin slides back into the 5, taking out the 8 and 9. You see his march to the top 5. Snuck right in there in the very last game.
Mm-hmm. On the other side again for Bob-Benoit. Lives on the Brooklyn side in Topeka, Kansas, no doubt. Man that finished 6th, the defending champion, Brian Voss, is here with his wife, Andrea. Brian won here last year and went on to nuptials the next day, and has had a happy life ever since. All right, Pete leaving the 6, 9, 10.
Explaining the lane condition today, what we have is a pretty warm environment in southern Florida. It's been close to 80 all week long. It's a little bit cooler today, but we have oil carry down. These lanes will get slicker as the players bowl. We see the balls hooking quite a bit right now, and yet after they bowl a while, the lanes will improve. Trouble.
So much speed, chopping 3 and 9 off the 10, an open frame. Pete Weber is the youngest millionaire on the PBA Tour. So what goals are left, Pete?
Well, I fulfilled my first goal, which was Rookie of the Year. I won the Triple Crown. The only goals I really have is to win the Masters for the Grand Slam and be Player of the Year. Other than that, that's about it.
And of course now he has to come back.
Pretty lofty goals, but let's establish the lane condition a little bit further at this point. As the bowlers bowl, the oil will carry down. There's oil that we said 45 feet down the lane. Once it gets down to about 50 or 55, you get a pretty good scoring environment, so it will pick up.
All right, Pete Weber going against Bob-Benoit. Pete is trailing by 13 pins. First game, more of it after this. This is one of 14 bowling centers, 4 of them in Texas, 3 in Louisiana, and 7 in Florida. Here now is Bob-Benoit, who opened in the first, has a double up now, shooting in the 4th, can increase his lead to 23 over Pete Weber. Haven't really got away.
Well, Chris, I know he's a little bit disgusted, and there's an old saying on the Pro Bowling Tour, when the lanes are tough like that, it's like rabbit hunting on a parking lot. There's just no shot out there, and you see Bob-Benoit's ball just running wildly away. Let's see, he hit light in the first frame, then almost missed the head pin twice, getting lucky strikes in the second and third. Now he completely misses the head pin for the 1-3, and if he makes the spare, he'll still have an 11-pin lead over Pete Weber.
After a perfect 300 in his very first television version, Benoit had trouble with championship rounds, but he's come back.
Well, I think my biggest problem has been is I've tried to live up to that 300, and I've tried to be too perfect, and I throw the ball too slow anyway, and then it seems like I get on TV and I get a little tentative, it gets too slow, and I get myself in trouble. So this time I'm just going to try to be a little more aggressive and see what happens.
His third strike in 5 frames, Bob-Benoit. Incidentally, Mike Edwards, still looking for his first win, but has been on our last 4 telecasts, finished 66th in this field this week.
They only pay 53 spots, so he was out of the money for the first time in 4 weeks. Now Weber, trailing by 11.
All right. Pete Weber with a swollen right thumb, says it loosens up as he bowls more throughout the afternoon.
Increased blood flow. I think most pro bowlers are that way, Chris. As they bowl, you'll see them putting tape in their ball normally. They get a little bit more relaxed. The blood flow, and as the hand warms up, he digs into that, fingers into that full grip, stretched out just the first knuckles into the finger holes. But the hand goes down. And, of course, you adjust with tape. Now Weber to close down the lead.
We'll take it again. Winner of the U.S. Open, the PBA National, the Firestone, Pete Weber. Last year, he won 2 titles in St. Louis and Green Bay. And the year prior to that, 6 times on television, winning 2. Now Bob-Benoit. Bob with a strike up, leading by 9. By 1, rather. Two-pin for Benoit on the right lane.
Now what happens, you say, how can a pro bowler not be able to adjust this lane condition? Now you watch what happens. As you see his profile, he's nice and slow up to the line. Now the ball is sliding quite a bit in the first 15 or 20 feet of the lane. Then it tries to break very sharply on the back 15 feet. If you send it a little wide, it doesn't have enough time to get back. If you start it up, we've seen the balls cross over. Tough lane condition right now. What should you do? Really, Chris, when lanes are like this is kind of a punt time. What you need to do is really increase the speed, which favors Weber in a match like this, and cut the hook down. So even though Benoit has that 1-pin lead, he has a slight disadvantage because of Weber's ability to throw ball speed, as he's concentrating on something else other than the match right now.
All right, Pete Weber looking away. So many of the bowlers do, like Chris Wan, many others. Okay, but I found Pete cheating. After the release, he did look, and what he saw was a Benoit strike. Benoit leading by 1 over Weber. We'll be back.
Championships presented by Diet Sprite and NutraSweet, live next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
We're at the 64-lane establishment of Don Carter and his partners, the All-Star Lanes, and here is a true All-Star champion. Triple Crown winner Pete Weber, double up, 7th frame. Channel. Huge error. Absolutely lost it, and 16 pounds on its way, but more than that. He wanted that 4-pin. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. Amleto, you're bowling the next match. Very tough lane condition out there. Any particular game plan?
Well, I haven't decided yet. I want to see when I throw my practice ball, but it seems like I'm going to do like Vegas in 88, throw harder and straighter.
I think that's the solution, Chris. When they're real tough, cut the hook down. Amleto's got the right game plan. We'll know in a moment. Back to you.
Okay, let's watch Pete now in the left lane, see if he does. He did. And the result is a strike in the 8th frame. Yet he trails by 23 pins. With that double up and before the open frame, he was trailing by only 2. What a difference a frame makes in this sport.
Well, that's the 4th time Pete Weber has thrown a ball in the gutter in the Professional Bowlers Tour, Chris, and he has lost the 3 previous matches spanning back to 1981. So we'll see what happens here.
All right, Bob-Benoit's double increases it to 33 pins. Next Saturday, ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour adds a new stop to our circuit. Mike Albee and the country's top bowlers roll into Erie, Pennsylvania, on the lake for the $130,000 Flagship City Open. 3 o'clock is our television time, Eastern and 2 Central. That's next Saturday, and Bo, I look forward to getting to Erie for the very first time.
It will be exciting, and they're supposed to be ready for the Pro Bowlers Tour. It'll be a good time. Now, Bob-Benoit in the 9th frame could put Weber on the ropes.
Bob-Benoit, who is in his 12th TV, 194 average in those 12 appearances, and he's won only 2 and lost 11. So in a spotty career, he is coming on strong now in this very first match against Weber.
Weber must strike right here in 9th frame.
Much better than the previous shot on the right line, Bo. That was awesomely bad.
Well, Chris, the previous gutter balls he's thrown, it was always wrist problems. He had one in 83 in Long Island, 85 in Vegas, and he had one in 89 here at Merritt Island when he lost to Brian Voss. But if he doesn't strike on this particular ball, he and fiancée Kim can go out to the Everglades and take a boat ride.
3, 6, 10.
Best he can do, 181. Bob-Benoit just has to stay in the building. Pete Weber will look for better things next week.
All right. Pete Weber in his 55th television appearance, where he had a 1-loss record of 59 and 39. Thus, all his great championships and triple crowns. So he's 28 years old, and we'll see a lot more of him. And what a break for Bob-Benoit. 180 for Weber.
Benoit finishing out the game will meet Player of the Year, Amleto Monacelli. Benoit still has a possible 237, but the match is well in hand.
We do have a winner. We'll give you the final score when we return. But as ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour, we'll return after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The Pro Bowlers Tour, brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Mylanta, the antacid doctors recommend most.
Wow. Here in the Bud Light Classic, with 7 strikes, Bob-Benoit has eliminated Pete Weber 216 to 180. And appearing again is the Player of the Year, Amleto Monacelli, Benoit's next opponent. We're in Florida, where it's always pleasant to visit. In addition to the weather, we get to see the retired technical people from capital cities ABC, and that's always a joy. But it is sad when one of our cherished colleagues in the past couple of months, Bob Armbruster, passed away. And one of our favorite technical directors, we just extend great sympathy to his family. We'll always miss him.
And as Amleto finishes up his last of 4 practice balls, he's going against Benoit. Monacelli, Chris, when he won in Vegas a couple of years ago, when he really started winning, he changed strategy when he found a real tough lane condition like that. He started throwing it hard and straight. He has that ability. I think he's going to go with that type of shot right now, considering that it's really match game play. Win the match. The score is really secondary. You just have to beat the opponent. So we're ready for the first shot. Monacelli up.
Amleto, his third television appearance of the year. This is our 6th tournament. He was 75th and then 1st. It's his 44th overall appearance from Barquisimeto, Venezuela. Smooth.
Good strategies. Playing the big hook ball from the center lane out to the edge. He decided after watching the opponents play, go down the middle, more in the track area between the second and third arrows. He's off to a good start.
Leading the 10-pin, Bob-Benoit, who defeated Pete Weber in our first match, 216 to 180.
Bob-Benoit, who came out on the Pro Bowlers Tour in late 70s and early 80s, was not successful. He threw a very much less powerful ball, and he developed this big hook style by taking a 10-pound ball, learning to curl it back on his wrist as he built the strength, went to 12, 14, now up to 16 for that power.
And like we so often see, Bo, they have a strike, first shot ball, and then a spare ball.
Well, some of the spare balls I think work pretty well, Chris, but we've seen a lot of players with different grips in a spare ball miss shots, so the jury's a little bit out on changing balls. Now let's see how Benoit's attacking the left-hand lane. He's going to start right about in this part of the lane. He's going to drift over in here. He's got a good approach. Now he's going to start right between the first and second arrows and swing out pretty wide.
All right. Strike for Bob-Benoit of Topeka in the second frame. Up now in red, as is his bowling ball, Amleto Monacelli. He always says that if his mental game is good and he's really concentrating, he can strike on any lane condition. I believe that.
And you see the profile of the stutter six-step delivery of Monacelli. Has that high backswing, much like Weber, open hand like Roth used to have. Tremendous wrist action. Look at the hand position going straight through the ball. If there's any one thing I can emphasize to the young players out there, don't go over the top of the ball. Let that wrist lift up through the ball. That's where the power is. Now Monacelli going for 3 in a row.
Pouring it on with 3 in a row. Monacelli, Player of the Year, back-to-back honors. Only Earl Anthony has 3 in a row. 81, 82, and 83. And that double, very important now, as Amleto's lead is cut to 10 pins. Okay, tomorrow, ABC's college basketball returns with regional coverage of 3 key conference matchups. Most of all, you'll see the battle for the Big Ten lead as Bobby Knight and the number 4 ranked Indiana Hoosiers look to avenge their loss to number 2 Ohio State. Or some of you will see Alabama take on SEC rival LSU, or in the Southwest, Texas at Houston. Nevertheless, it's all live tomorrow, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, right here on ABC Sports.
Some good hoops. Now, Benoit to even the match.
All but the 10-pin. Meanwhile, our tournament leader, Wayne Webb, keeps limbering up off to our right. You'll hear the pin fall. Practice shots on lane 61. Our championship pair, 51 and 52.
Chris, Benoit changing balls, as we've talked about, a shinier surface, less surface friction to cut down the hook. Now he breaks his wrist back. Watch, he won't have that cup shot. He'll throw it hard and straight, a little more control.
Okay, we're in our second match. Amleto Monacelli leading Bob-Benoit by 11 pins. We'll be back.
Erie, Pennsylvania. It's the flagship City Open on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour next Saturday.
All right, first ever in Erie, Pennsylvania. We look forward to it. We're in Sunrise, Florida. 3 in a row, 4th frame, Amleto Monacelli. fly hit, leaving the 6-10. Here's a player that, before he won his first title, was second 6 times. 10th year as a professional, he has 10 titles. Last year, he won $204,000. His best was 1989 when he won $213,000. Well done. Well done. Okay, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. John-Mazza in the semifinal is going to be a tough opponent, a proven champion. Do you particularly care who you bowl for a chance to win back-to-back titles here?
No, my friend at home, Dr. Bray, told me the only true adversary I have is the pins, and that's all I want to do, just bowl as good as I can.
I hope he's not a surgeon. He must be a psychologist.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He got me here.
All right, John. Good luck, buddy, in the second semifinal. Chris?
Okay, we all need help, don't we? Powerful strike. Coming in the 5th frame. Very close match, however, because Bob-Benoit, now shooting in the 5th, has a spare working. Benoit, 5'9", 150 pounds. Proud owner of a body and restoration shop at one time. Closed it down as he came back out on tour. He looks forward to opening it again. Oh, it cannot come closer before going in the channel. Bob-Benoit. Watch.
Bob swinging it out from the center of the lane, almost to the very edge board. Coming back with that big angle of attack. Both players seem to be zeroed in now. And Chris, that carry down we talked about on the lane, the oil carrying down, setting up a little what we call hold spot in the center of the lane, gives the player a little more margin of error, seems to be established. So I look for real good scoring in this match, obviously off to a good start, and in the last 2 matches. So it behooves the players to shoot some big numbers if they want to continue moving up the stepladder.
Now to take the lead by 1.
Come on, Bobby, 2, baby, come on.
All but the 9-pin. That on the left lane. Bob, if you just joined us, won the first match over Pete Weber, 216 to 180. And the winner of this match, Benoit Monacelli, will go against John-Mazza, and then our tournament leader, Wayne Webb. Okay. 9 pins. That's the lead held by Monacelli. There he is. Well-conditioned. Works as hard, or perhaps harder than anybody in that area. Okay, Amleto, only an average bowler early in his career, as Teresa's wife. He's developed into one of the top stars. We asked Amleto how he has done it.
Well, I found out I had to be more disciplined with myself, and it took a lot of hard work on the lanes, off the lanes, with a hard physical training, which, because of that, makes my mental game much tougher, and that, I would say, that's the key for my success.
Good philosophy. Now he can take a 29-pin lead.
10-pin on the left lane.
Amleto, little love tap on the 10-pin in the 6th frame, a shot that our host Don Carter made so famous as he garnered a bunch of World Championships in the 50s and 60s. Monacelli not quite so lucky here in the 7th, is working at a 227 pace with a conversion. Benoit through 6 frames at 209.
Well, what can you say, Bo?
Not very good, Chris. As you see Monacelli make a major mistake, he just slides by with the ball into the channel, and that really opens the door for Monacelli, who goes from trailing by over 20 down to just 6 pins. We'll be back to see if Monacelli can hold that lead in a moment.
Championships presented by Diet Sprite and NutraSweet, live next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Figure skating next right now, more bowling, and we're in our second match. Back to, again, being a thriller. Only 6 pins as a result of an open frame. Monacelli against Bob-Benoit. Here's Benoit. He has a spare up shooting in the 7th, trailing by 6.
Well, he lets it hook a little bit too much. Once again, what has plagued him is lack of ball speed, and so he's got the 310 baby split. Needs to get the ball over here with the 310, let the ball bounce into the 10. Here's how it's done. Let the 3, or let it roll right into the 10. Benoit's got that shot hard and straight. He will only trail by 8 pins if he converts this.
Very good. Excellent precision. Bob-Benoit.
Well, it's just like the junior leagues, Chris. It looks like the more pins you have up there, the easier the spares. Where it really should be. You actually have 22 inches margin of error to make a spare, a single pin spare. The diameter of a bowling pin a little over 4 inches, a bowling ball 9. You got either side to hit them on. So come on, guys, make all those spares. Let's get some strikes. 8 pin difference, 8th frame.
Bob had 6 strikes in his victory over Weber, 216 to 180. Now in this match, that was his 4th. Now after an open, as Benoit looks on, Monacelli, 8th frame. We're at the Don Carter All-Star Lanes, the Bud Light Classic, leaders by rounds. Sam, your old partner up there early.
Sam Zurich, my old doubles partner, led the 18-game qualifier until Monacelli caught him in round 3. Then there's 24 games of match play. Monacelli led until the final 8 games. Webb caught him right near the end. Right now, it's all a mute point as they're heading for the semifinal match. Right now, Monacelli leads by 8, 9th frame, the opponent Benoit. Well, kind of an unusual split as Teresa looks on. It's the 2-5-7-8. 2 schools of thought. Get the ball over to the two-pin side. Get the ball on the 2-pin side. Let the ball carry into the 7. I believe the best way, Chris, is get it between the 2-5, drive the 2-pin into the 7-pin, and let the ball take out the 5 and 8. Let's see how Monacelli goes after it.
Okay. And for Monacelli, his 2nd open in the last 3 frames, and it's a lead now by Benoit.
Caught right in between the 2 shots we telestrated. A little bit farther to the left, he might have made it as you see the ball just sliding by the 7. A little more to the right, he'd have driven the 2-pin into the 7. Now, Monacelli can do nothing but hope now as Benoit has the door wide open, leads by 4, can make it 14, a key 9th frame.
All but the 10 again for Bob. He's had a lot of those today.
Right now, Benoit, who has already struggled a little bit, is still converting his spares. He's switching to a harder ball using that dropped wrist technique. Has nailed all those 10 pins so far. This is the 3rd one this match. He would continue to lead by 4 through 9 frames with a conversion.
We're in Sunrise, Florida, close to the Everglades. And you know, as we take these weekly excursions, and it's a lot of fun, we hope you enjoy it. I always have to thank my 2 ABC colleagues, Frank Malchiori and Marvin Gensch, who are out there among the alligators this past week. And, Bo, you were along, too.
That airboat ride, it was great. Now look at Monacelli. He doesn't want to know the outcome, but right now, Benoit needs 2 strikes and 7 to shut out Monacelli. Anything less, Monacelli can win.
Can you believe it? 3, 9, 10.
Boy, this left-hand lane is giving the players all sorts of trouble. Now, here's what we need. Need to get the ball over here where the 3-pin is, drive the ball into the 10, and have the ball take out the 9. Get it right in here, let the ball carry out the 10, and bounce into the 9. Watch the ball do the action. Split them out. That's what Benoit needs right here to maintain the lead.
Bow's tip coming up soon. He's done a great job in this game. They were 3-10 earlier. Now the 3-9-10 Nelson.
Just a super shot here in the clutch, converting a difficult split. The match is not over. It's imperative that he gets 9 or 10 pins on this next shot, Chris, because anything less will allow Monacelli just to strike spare to win the match. 9 or 10 makes Monacelli double.
With a touch like that, he can restore my classic car any day when he gets his shop back, you know.
That'll work. Right now, he'd like to touch 9 of them over, put Monacelli on the ropes. That's as good as a strike.
Bob-Benoit, who won the first match over Pete Weber, 216-180. Now against Monacelli. Benoit with a 203.
Really?
Pressure, huh?
Really a chance for a tie game here, Chris, because Monacelli strike spare or spare strike. Either combination creates a tie match. 2 frames, sudden death roll off. Let's see what happens.
Six pin on the right lane.
Well, he needs to convert this and strike the tie. Anything less, it's Benoit's victory.
Hundreds of fans watching this with you. All right. Amleto Monacelli, the PBA Player of the Year the past 2 years.
Sitting behind us, Brian Voss, a defending champion and knows this bowling center very well, says when you're confused like this in this championship pair, rock it to the pocket. The pro bowler is saying of don't give up the head pin throw, don't give away the 1-3, throw it hard and straight. It's your best chance when you're a little bit uncertain of what to do. It needs a strike to tie.
All right.
What a horrible break.
Anchored to the building, that 8 pin. 203 to 202. You know,
watch the action of the ball as it drives through the 1-3-5 zone. The 5 pin will go straight back. It's supposed to take out the 8. At this speed, you'll see the ball hit the 1, 3, the 5. He drives it straight back. What a terrible break. That would have been a tie.
watch Benoit's reaction. There he is, Bob-Benoit, bowling out of Topeka, Kansas, a native of Dallas. Bow's tip, the use of a camcorder, how it can improve your game.
ABC Sports Bowling Tip of the Week is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Bo, my game feels terrible. Do you have any ideas how to help me?
Well, Mark, I'll tell you what, you're dropping your shoulder, your swing's a little bit behind your back, and when you were really going good, you had that good deep knee bend. You just don't have that anymore.
I have a hard time picturing what you're saying. You have any other ideas?
Well, Mark, I tell you what, let's take the camcorder, Frank. Just give me that, and we'll take a look at your shot, and you can analyze your own game, and you can tell yourself what you're doing wrong.
Okay.
Go ahead and fire one. See Mark's dropping his shoulder a little bit, swings behind his back, not getting that real good knee bend. Mark, you can take a look at this tape and you're going to improve your game yourself by checking it out. And this is a good tip for you people at home. Help each other. Take a camcorder to the bowling center, record each other's shot, and you can work on your own game and you'll improve.
Fact, the full-size Ford pickup.
Only $24.98 plus $3 shipping. To order Bose home video, call 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
And here the exciting Bud Light Classic. Bob-Benoit won the first match. In a recap, we'll repeat Weber, 216 to 180. Then in the second match against the Player of the Year, Amleto Monacelli, one pin, 203 to 202. And now, Bob moving up for his third match against last week's winner, John-Mazza. Speaking of winners, as we look at this capacity crowd, over the years in the history of bowling, there have been great champions. Up close and personal, one of them. In the long history of bowling, there have been many colorful competitors. Joe Falcaro, also known as Chesty Joe for his bragging style, was recognized as the World Match Game Champion. And what a trick artist. A resident of Long Island, Falcaro was the mentor of another popular bowling showman, the great Andy Varapapa. Legends of the sport. And here in the audience with him is the man that's married to Mr. Falcaro's niece, Marie, a longtime friend, Nick Marmande, who is president of the National Bowling Hall of Fame and Museum. The second Salute to Champions Black Tie Benefit Dinner will be held on March 3rd. Nick's up there at the top of it all. He's a proprietor, and we honor Marion Ladewig and Ike Herbert of Coca-Cola and our own president of ABC Sports, Dennis Swanson.
And Chris, later after Pro Bowlers Tour, Wide World of Sports, we have two-time silver medalist Christy Yamaguchi, who will meet some of the best as they compete for the coveted crown at the U.S. Figure Skating. And also starting today, my partner on Wide World of Sports, the AT&T presents the first in a series of Sports and Scientists. Partner Chris Schenkel is the host. Chris, is John-Mazza is taking his last of 4 practice balls.
Okay, and John, as you remember, from Mount Clemens, Michigan, was the winner last week. So he's back-to-back TVs. And if you just joined us, speaking back-to-back television appearances, Mike Edwards in his 4th last week. This week he finished 66. Now Bob-Benoit in his 3rd match of the afternoon. Two-pin on the left lane for Bob.
Well, Benoit, who had struggled to a 1-10 record after that memorable 300 game at the Quaker State in '88, put together back-to-back wins going against a lefty. Let's see what the left side of the lane has to provide as John-Mazza comes up and tries to make it back-to-back victories. First frame of the semifinal.
John-Mazza getting up 5'9", 155 pounds, from that Detroit area where there have been a lot of great bowling champions. Nelson. Leaving a 2-4 on the right lane. Let's look at replay profile.
Mazza, who is quickly up, has that short, quick style, high backswing, good inside-out swing, playing the big hook today. Drifts a little bit high and leaves a 2-4. Quickly up with a straight shot for the spare. Kristen, you're talking about great champions from Detroit. Detroit has the largest participation in the American Bowling Congress and really the heartbeat of league bowling. Detroit, Michigan.
Well, and one of my favorite establishments, which John knows about, is the 8-lane establishment in the Detroit Athletic Club. John DeLora is the manager. That's not so popular with John-Mazza, I'll assure you, the 7-10, or any bowler.
Mazza, who really threw a pretty good shot there, but when the lanes are breaking very sharply on the left side, remember there's no oil carry down. If you watch the first 2 matches, the righties benefited from a little oil carry down, the scores got better, but nothing on the left. Mazza in a little trouble.
Well, Mark Roth did it on our live telecast, and Bo, the man from Mount Clemens, he is thanking the Great Spirit. Wow, let's replay that, baby.
Well, here it is. Mark Roth was the only one to do it before. A 7-10 split. Now look how it happens. When Roth did it, the ball injected the pin out. Now
here's Mark's shot.
Now here's how Mark did it. A little bit different.
Watch Mazza's reaction. Here it is. Here it is.
When you're hot, you're hot. He's got it
going.
all going for him.
He thanked the man above.
That's for sure. At least 1,000 to 1 shot if you want to put some odds on it. Now let's see how Benoit reacts to it. The crowd and everything, all momentum towards John-Mazza. Benoit still has 2 victories under his belt. Second frame. I'd have to say he shook up, Chris.
I know I would be. Because you see, well, Bo, 30 years I've done this telecast. You've done it 17. We've seen it twice.
Plus, the idea of an opponent, you think, well, he's got a 7-10 split. You say, wow, I got a break. I'm going to be leading the match, sitting down here. All of a sudden, the opponent electrifies the crowd and his opponent by making the split. Now, Benoit has dug himself a little hole, the 1-3-6-9 spare. Tough shot.
Good job. Great job. But, Bo, it's seldom you see a bowling pin dribble across the deck.
Well, normally when you make the 7-10 split, as Roth did, the ball drives the pin straight back. Then the pin bounces over the top of the ball, and the ball kind of ejects the pin back on the lane. John-Mazza on that shot just drove the pin straight back, and it was like a miracle. Bounced straight out on the lane by itself. So take it whatever way you can get it. Great shot.
Of course, this was the man striking here that put together 12 in a row at the Forum in 1988 to win his first title, $100,000 from True Value Hardware. We'll do it again this year. Bob-Benoit.
Now Mazza, who started bowling at age 10, his first game was 40. He's improved quite a bit since then. And it's kind of obvious he doesn't have it under control. He was high in the first frame on this right-hand lane. Then he was around the pocket and made that 7-10 split. Then once again high or crossing over on the right-hand lane. So he's still a little bit mystified by the lane condition in front of him on the left side.
Okay. John elaborates now on why he has one pace during a tournament and another one during situations like now.
Well, Bo, I think that there's more distractions for me when I'm competing in the top 24 and in qualifying. And when in the championship round, I think there's less distractions, and that's why my pace is different.
Kind of a good point. When you're bowling in the top 24 or qualifying, it's like league play. He gives one lane to the left and right. Out here now, there's nobody else bowling. Let's fire it up and go.
All right. We see a 3-6-7.
Well, he needs a rabbit out of the hat. What he has to do is get the ball over in this area here, drive that 3-pin over in the 7. He's quickly up. Let's see if he can make the shot.
All right, open frame, John-Mazza. Mazza now trailing by 13 over Bob-Benoit. We'll be back.
Warning, cold starts can...
Championships presented by Diet Sprite and NutraSweet. Live tomorrow on ABC Sports.
This is Bob-Benoit, who's won the first 2 matches, now here in his 3rd game, bowling in the 5th frame, spare working. Leaves a 10-pin. While we were away, as we were running behind our allotted time, in the 4th frame, left the 1-3-9. He covered the 3 pins, and earlier he had left the 1-3-6-9 and covered them. So now cross lane for the 10-pin. He has a 13-pin lead here in his 3rd match. Defeated Pete Weber 216 to 180, and then Amleto Monacelli 203 to 202. Now John-Mazza. John-Mazza in the 2nd frame, converting the 7-10. That's a break here in the right lane as we go to Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Tournament leader Wayne Webb. Wayne, you haven't bowled for a title in 3 years. Your game plan, are you a little bit nervous?
I'm a little nervous, but I've got a good shot from in, and I think that's where I'm going to play him, where Amleto did, and give it a shot.
I think he's got the right game plan, Chris. Wayne Webb's a good clutch player, a good winner. He's going to give whomever he bowls a tough ride for the title. Back to you.
All right, John-Mazza can cut the lead to 2 pins. And he does. Back in the battle, last week's winner, Mazza. Tonight, leading by 2, he has a spare up. He'll be shooting in the 6th frame here at Don Carter All-Star Lane, Sunrise, Florida, west of Fort Lauderdale. Chilly in southern Florida today. Nothing, however, like my home in the Midwest. Bob-Benoit keeping it close. He's shooting in the 7th as he checks the overhead score.
Bob-Benoit made drastic changes in his game and became a very consistent player when he came back out in 1988 and 89. In fact, in 89, he led the PBA Tour in percentage of cashes with 25 of 32, and that's remarkable for a player who really doesn't have the real good speed control. He's working on that, and I think that's the one thing he has to polish off to be among the top players every week.
Great admiration for Bob, knowing him and watching him, and of course his perfect 300 here on TV, the 5th ever. He's a lot of personal problems, but he hangs out there, keeps trying his very, very best, and that's a lot of pressure when there are outside problems.
Take a lot of it off with a win here today.
All right. This is a semifinal match. The winner to meet Wayne Webb for the Bud Light Classic title. We'll be back.
Jim Fox. It's time. Mike Bell. Time.
We're running way behind our allotted time of 90 minutes. So while we're away in the 7th and 8th frame, John-Mazza with 2 strikes had a double up and working. He took an 18-pin lead. Now Benoit in the 8th frame with a spare up with a strike. Semifinal match, 18 pins separating the 2 pros. Okay, Bob-Benoit, another pressure strike for the Texan.
Big hit for him. He needed that to stay in the match, and it's far from over because Mazza's going at a 213 pace, but it's a very suspect game. He's picked the 7-10 split. He had a crossover, a couple of shakers, so it's up for grabs. Leaves the half 7. Conversion here, he will lead by just 7 pins going to the 10th frame. No matter what John-Mazza does here in the 10th, he cannot shut out Bob-Benoit. Mazza with 3 strikes would have 222. Benoit still has 225 potential.
All right, following us on ABC's Wide World of Sports, live coverage of the United States figure skating ladies competition. All the stars, find out who the U.S. champion will be. Diet Sprite and NutraSweet.
Whoa, baby. 4, 6, 10 in a crucial situation. What can he do here? He has to go to try to make it. What he has to try to do is once again get a ball over in his zone and bounce one of these pins out into the 4 pin, or cut it real thin and try to slide the 6 into the 4. No such luck.
Also in Wide World figure skating competition coverage, a report on the pairs competition. That's coming from Minneapolis Live, following us.
Now, for Bob-Benoit to win his 3rd consecutive match today, he needs a mark and a decent count. If he gets an open frame, he loses. Strike, obviously a winner. A spare and a good count, and he'll meet Wayne Webb for the title.
What performance. And while speaking of figure skating, a sport we all love, tomorrow it'll be live coverage of the men's finals with a report on ice dancing. And the Wide World a week from today will be the final of our coverage of the World Challenge of Champions from Barcelona, Spain, Bo.
And that should be very exciting. This frame won't be too exciting. Benoit needs just 2 pins on the shot. He'll just keep it in the middle of the lane. He won't even flirt with that outside line. It's going to be Webb and Benoit.
He does it after John-Mazza, last week's winner, shoots a 198. Benoit has won it. We'll have the final score when we return.
Cheney. This has been a Gulf War update.
All right, in our first match, Bob-Benoit defeated Pete Weber 216 to 180. Bob moved up, this time against Monacelli. 1-pin victory, 203 to 202. And a match just completed. Benoit wins his third in the semifinal, 224 to 198. And now it's against Wayne Webb. Webb bowling out of Beaumont, Texas. Any prediction, Bo? What will Webb do?
Well, Chris, this is going to be a really close match, and obviously, I think Wayne Webb has the advantage. He ran away with the tournament. I think the thing that's going to happen in this match is it's going to be Wayne Webb giving Benoit all he can handle. So they're ready to go.
He doesn't know. Okay.
A lighthearted Bob-Benoit.
And with the public address system on, everybody heard what we said. I asked you the question, Bo, and you answered it. You're the expert. You're supposed to. Okay. But I don't think there's anything to bother this guy. He's won 3 games today. 3 tough ones.
Inauspicious start as he leaves the 2-7-8. Needs to get the ball over here in the 2 zone, drive the 2 into the 7. The ball will take out the 8. Here you go, right here. Pin that way, ball this way. Benoit's made some tough splits today. He's made the 3-10, the 3-9-10, and the 2-7-8. So kind of an inauspicious start, but this young man knows how to win tournaments. 17-time titleist Wayne Webb, tournament leader.
Player of the year in 1980. That style, hanging straight right arm, ball hanging loose. And look at it explode. Oh, yes. Seen that style a few times, including 58th television appearance.
And he has made the most of a lot of those appearances as he's won 17 titles. Look at him driving through with that pivot step. Tremendous wrist action on Wayne Webb. Slides about 6 or 7 inches behind the foul line, like our great host, Don Carter, was one of the few players that didn't go all the way to the foul line, but uses every bit of it. Right now, can take a 10-pin lead.
Wayne Webb, powerful at 5'5" and 169 pounds and 33 years of age. Benoit, you're quite familiar with. He won the first 3 matches. Great start. Covering the 2-7-8 now in the second frame. Championship game. 30 to the winner, 16 to the runner-up. One, 2, 4. Bo, the 4 general partners of those 14 Don Carter lanes. Junior Powell, Jerry Eisen, Bert Rose, and Don Carter himself. They're on the right with the shades.
They still don't know who's going to win, and obviously we don't either. As Benoit into the finals after winning 3 matches, has the 1-2-4 spare in front of him.
Needs to convert this to still trail our tournament leader by 13 pins, Wayne Webb.
Chopping the 2 for off the 1.
For Bob-Benoit, it's been a long, really road. He struggled in the 70s, came back in 1987. He went through the regional program. He won at Corpus Christi, Texas, Denison, McAllen, cashed 18 out of the 19 tournaments back then, has struggled through, and in 1988 hit gold when he shot the 300 game, has had some good years since, struggled a little bit this year, but now he's got a chance to win a title and get back in the Firestone Tournament of Champions, third frame.
All but the 10 here at the Don Carter All-Star Lanes. Don and his wife Paula have been very interested in charity. Kids in Crisis Shelter for Abused Children. This year, with 1,100 entries in the Pro-Am, there they are. They raised $12,684. Some of the Pro-Am stars, Jose Canseco.
Dan Marino, Jose Canseco, personally donated $1,000 to that fund.
And Don and Paula not only help the kids shelter crisis, they help raise some of those troubled children, and I salute them with all my heart.
Now Wayne Webb started bowling at the age of 3, learned to bowl on duck pins, the little bitty pins and balls they use back east. Turned pro at age 18, only won $90 his first year.
Well, here's one you can describe, Bo.
Well, there's two schools of thought, Chris. Remember, he has a double up, so each pin that he loses is going to cost him 2 in the scoreboard. To make it, the best way to make it is get the ball over in the 4-7 zone and slide the 4 over here. But the best way to get pin count is to slide the 6 over into the 9, 4, and 7. Let's see what Wayne does.
Okay, Wayne Webb, born in Rehoboth, Massachusetts, has lived in Lodi, New Jersey. He's lived in Indianapolis and now Beaumont. He's not cashed this year. It's slumped. What caused that dramatic turnaround this week?
Well, in 1989, I got hurt with neck problems, and through all last year, my game got worse and worse, and the last couple of weeks, I learned to slow down and try to loosen up and just try to make better shots.
Look loose on that shot, Wayne Webb. 3 strikes and 4 frames, leading by 6. We'll be back.
Fact. Ford Thunder.
Well, while we were away, as we're running behind our time schedule, Nelson, boy, Bob-Benoit has really run into some problems here today, yet has won 3 matches.
Oh, you're right, Chris. He's made most of his splits, though, and he can make this one also. He needs to get the ball in the 3-6 zone, drive the 3 over into the 7. He's trailing by 6. It could get worse if he doesn't convert.
Hoping with all his might for that conversion, and Benoit now trailing by 18, but Webb has a strike up and he'll be shooting the 5th frame. This is a championship match for the Bud Light Classic Trophy, which happens to be a porcelain American Eagle.
Wayne Webb, who spots in 2 places. He looks down the lane for one spot, then up close to the foul line, draws an imaginary line, and that's where he wants to roll his ball.
A high hit, leaving the 3-6, 9, 10.
Another tough spare. Wayne Webb heads for the rosin. Needs to get the ball right in here to carry out all 4 pins. And here's how it's made. Get the ball between the 3-6 and let the ball do the work. Especially tough spare this week because there's oil on the outside boards and the ball will hang wide, Chris, if he throws it too wide.
Wayne Webb, last year winning only $27,460. If he can win here, it would be $30,000 today.
He's a good winner. You get Webb towards the end of a match, one of the best clutch players we have on the tour.
Remember, this man won the 1980 Firestone.
Now Bob-Benoit, who we've storied his somewhat career, had a couple of stress fractures in his hand last year and kind of held him back. Has that all healed up, and his game's right at the top right now. Has a chance to win a title, get back to the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Brooklyn! He's just a neat guy, I'll tell you.
Well, you got to like his reaction. He's had a couple of them left of the head pin, but they're line drives in the box score, and he needs this strike to stay close to Webb. Webb playing the lanes much like Amleto Monacelli decided to do, down the middle, much less hook, and I think he has the advantage. So it behooves Benoit to get going right here and put some pressure on our tournament leader.
Needed that 10-pin. And, Bo, we are so close to the bowlers as they're on the approach. We have these monitors in front of us, and with all of our ABC technical crew and production crew, what pictures today, as always.
Good job. Carol Letty producing, Larry Cam calling the shots, our director. As we come down to the last three frames, 1991 Bud Light Classic.
All right. So now up to shoot in the 7th frame. Strike working. Wayne Webb, who wanted me to be sure to say hello to his 9-year-old daughter, Angela, in Tucson. Hello, Angela.
Webb, who keys off that index finger. You see where that right index finger, that's his target swing. He points that towards the target.
Well, he had this shot before, so...
5th frame, he knows how to make it. Still a tough shot. Is Webb with that little choppy 5-step delivery. A little bit more slide than he used to have. Once again leaves himself a tough spare. If he converts, he'll continue to lead by 18.
Way left. There the return. Oh. You could see it coming.
Well, with 3 frames left to go, the whole match is up for grabs. Benoit has struggled through 3 matches. He's gotten some good breaks, improved, and throwing strikes when he needed to. Now, when it looked like Wayne Webb had it all locked up, he hands Benoit an opportunity to win the match. So it's anybody's tournament. Webb leads by 6. The second gutter ball we've had in a championship match. How embarrassing it has to be to Wayne Webb. Now watch him. Now he actually puts a little bit of grip or rosin on his thumb, and you'll see his balls, his swings down here. His thumb comes out early. He hits it right off his left ankle. Bang! Right in the channel. No chance at all.
Dove in there.
I didn't miss it that far, Chris. He has an inside-out swing, and it hits off his left ankle. That often happens to top pros, but what an embarrassing moment.
Hurry up. All right, great comeback for the man who last won 1989 True Value Open at Landmark Lanes in Peoria, Illinois.
What a tough shot this must have been. The embarrassment, national television, hitting your ankle, coming off. And the tendency is to pull your arm away from your ankle and change your normal arm swing. Not Wayne Webb. He's stuck with what he knows. Here's a good shot by Benoit. Look at how he's playing the lanes, a deep inside line.
Congratulations, Bob-Benoit has won 3 matches. 36-pin victory over Pete Weber in the first. Then a 1-pin victory over Monacelli. Then he defeated last opponent 224 to 198, John-Mazza.
Benoit never ahead in a match as Wayne Webb contemplates the ongoings of his first 8 frames. can take the lead with a strike. Ninth frame.
He's up by 4 pins. Difference of 14,000 winning or being the runner-up.
Benoit went to the whip. Best shot of the match, takes the lead. The pressure is now on Wayne Webb. Well, for Wayne Webb, 17 PBA titles, and I have known him as one of the best clutch players we've had in this game. He's going to have to prove it right here. Trails by 4 pins as he comes up in the 10th frame. He needs a strike to take the lead. He cannot shut out Benoit no matter what he does. Benoit still will have an opportunity to win it when his turn comes around.
Terrific performance by both professionals. Incredible.
Ice water on that shot. Wayne Webb hit his ankle in the 8th frame with a good swing, throws it in the channel, makes the spare, comes back in the 9th on a lane he really struggled, and when he really needed it for all the money, he throws a perfect, smooth shot here in the 10th. A little lighthearted moment as the pins fall down a little prematurely. He takes a re-rack, and with this and a strike right here, he would lead by 16. No matter what he gets, though, Benoit can still win. What a crazy turnabout.
Good reason to scratch your head.
You can bet on that. Now, the situation for Wayne Webb, he has to look at the scoreboard. Right now, if he gets 9 out, he'll finish with 184. That would force Benoit to strike on the first ball on 10th. If he gets less than 9 out, Benoit won't need a double. And we have a possibility of a tie right now.
Been quite an afternoon. Long afternoon.
And that possibility really comes about as Wayne Webb is 183. For Bob-Benoit, a strike wins the Bud Light Classic. Anything less, 8 or less, he loses. 9 spare strike, we have a tie, 2 frame roll off for all the money. Let's see what happens.
Right lane. To Bob-Benoit, just tremendous, winning in 1988, championship match, perfect 300 game, and that's been it.
Boy, it's been a long way back. Now he needs to stay behind the foul line and get 5 pins. What an interesting telecast. Every match up for grabs, unpredictable. The winner still has to keep it on the lane. We've seen 3 balls in the channel already.
Bob-Benoit winning his 2nd PBA title in a hard-fought, long career. Congratulations to him. Here at Don Carter Lanes, Sunrise, Florida, we're going back to New York and our colleague, Frank Gifford.
The simple fact is, Ford is number 1. Save during Leadership Month at your Ford dealer now.
In the Bud Light Classic here in Sunrise, Florida, Bob-Benoit 30, Webb 16, Mazza 8, Monacelli 65, Weber 55. Bob-Benoit won all 4 games, his 2nd PBA title, 30 grand. Matt Funchen of Bud Light Division Sales Manager with the beautiful Eagle Trophy, and the legend, Don Carter, with a check for $30,000. Congratulations to Bob-Benoit. For our entire ABC crew, for Nelson Burton Jr., I'm Chris Schenkel. Goodbye, see you in Erie.
Has been brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. And by Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.